just from Labour benches, but from colleagues behind her in the Tory party. Should Liz Truss tonight consider her position? So that's tonight's big question. Should Liz Truss resign? Joining me to discuss this is a rising star of the Labour Party, Labour councillor Fatima Kamara, and political strategist and former aide to Margaret Thatcher, Neil Gardner. Great to have both of you on the show. Can I start with you, Fatima? Do you think that Liz Truss should consider her position?
Thank you and good evening, Mark. Thank you for having me on your show. I definitely think Liz Truss should. And it's music to my ear that I can hear you saying that even though you really supported her, you've had to backtrack slightly based on her performance. I think the right thing to do is to step aside. I think sacking Kwasi Kwarteng, it's not going to address the situation. He did not, Kwasi Kwarteng didn't come out to the public and talk to the public about the budget without having consulted the Prime Minister. Liz Truss is the Prime Minister. And, like your previous speaker said, her fingerprints is all over this. So I think the right thing that she needs to do and consider quite carefully is to resign, most definitely.
Fatima Kamara, she has just won a mandate from her own party. She needs a fair crack of the whip, doesn't she?
She does need a fair crack of the whip, Mark, but I think there's a saying that something that's going to work, you will start to see the lines and the traces of it from the start. As you know, and I'm sure you cover this daily, and I'm sure you know about Liz Truss's history as a political history. She has shown to be very paper light. She's a very paper light Prime Minister, as I would say. It's very easy, when she's been interviewed, she doesn't give people the sort of meat and notion and confidence that this is what she stands for and take responsibility as a Prime Minister. It's very easy to pass it on or easy to let it slide. And that is not the sort of Prime Minister the UK deserves, especially at this sort of very challenging economic crisis that the UK is facing.
However, Fatima, she's an extremely experienced cabinet minister, far more experienced in government than, of course, Keir Starmer, who has no government experience. Former Chief Secretary to the Treasury. She was in the Justice Department as Justice Secretary. Trade Secretary, she signed all those trade deals to make Brexit a success. And she stood up to Vladimir Putin in relation to Ukraine. So perhaps Liz Truss has just had a bad day or perhaps a bad couple of weeks at the office. But 2 years is a long time in politics.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think experience is quite relative, if you want to say that. In everything that you've summarized in terms of what she's achieved, I would actually want to go back and question in terms of the actual delivery of it. As far as I'm concerned and as far as I know, Liz Truss hasn't put out something very tangible since she's been a Prime Minister. Yes, she's been part of the Conservative Party for a long time, but in terms of her deliverables, you're talking about experience. When you talk about experience, you literally it has to be measurable. I can't tell you, even as a Labour councillor and someone who's very passionate about politics and also work in the healthcare sector, what Liz Truss stands for at this time. And now, especially that she's gone and actually also appoint Jeremy Hunt as a Chancellor of the Exchequer.